The most important thing is that your tracker should cover metrics that help you assess these three key drivers of advertising effectiveness: reach, branding, and messaging. And the first thing for reach is that you track and survey consumers at the right time. We recommend to start data collection around 1 to 2 weeks after your initial spending or GRP burst. And that's because your campaign does need some time to be remembered and settle in people's minds. Next, the big question is what you even track. If you track consumers, if you track ad impressions, if you simply take a look at the GRPs over time and your media spend, there's loads of different things here. We at Quantilope do recommend to always track consumer focused in addition to the other metrics, simply because there is a difference between having ads on air and spending and people actually remembering your ads, right? With our low attention economy, this is where we do differentiate between kind of theoretical and effective reach. But before we go to effective reach, I would always recommend that you cover some classics in your ad tracker, like ad awareness, unaided and aided, to track that basic level of buzz. It should theoretically correlate with your media investment or your share of voice and share of search. Share of search, or SOS, is specifically known to correlate with future sales. So this is really a great metric to help you understand that general right media buzz that people are experiencing, and it can also help you benchmark yourself against competition, especially if you don't have access to spending data. The challenge with ad awareness is that it can be influenced by campaigns that date back years, right? Tony the Tiger, that people still have in mind even though they haven't seen an ad for a while. So, what we propose tracking is an additional question, which we call qualified ad awareness, that helps you better understand kind of baseline buzz versus actual specific brand and ad memories. And with this kind of context, right, time frame, reach, and ad awareness, you can then get closer to effective reach, which we usually measure by really exposing people to debranded stimuli. For example, a specific like scenes from a hero, TVC, or a debranded out of home ad. It can be included in a survey quite simply. And what you then do is you really ask for recognition. And of course, this isn't a perfect measure for reach because, again, right, there are many factors between an ad being on air and people actually remembering it. But from my perspective, effective reach really comes close as a proxy for this metric, right? Because it does take human memory and coding and human processing and attention into account already. And what's great about including a question like this in your ad tracker is that you can super easily test for branding as well by asking those who remember an ad, or at least who think they remember an ad, asking them what brand they think the ad was for. So simply asking them favorably in an open-ended way to mention the brand that was being advertised. And brand linkage will give you like a really sharp measure of your branding power, usually much better than any aided awareness would. And it also allows you to calculate branded reach, which is the proportion of consumers who remembered an advertisement and also linked it to the correct brand. And this last metric, branded reach, is super interesting and powerful because it really allows us to split any sample, any consumer sample that you have, into two groups: those who remember being exposed to an ad and who also remember that that brand, so those exposed, versus those who are unexposed, giving us all of the options to really do a natural A B test and an experiment in order to then derive the effect of that campaign. And when it comes to deriving the effect of that ad or campaign, we then at Quantilope use mental availability and mental advantage analysis. Both of these analyses are based on category entry points that I already mentioned. So the key needs that make people buy a product. And mental availability combines a number of CPs into a single metric, while mental advantage analysis focuses on individual CPs and those changes across groups.